All right, family. We black again with the general. You know we got that real talk going down. We're gonna be talking about where is the ancient writing system of the indigenous black race of North America. Got to talk about it, family. We trying to trace this bloodline. We trying to, bring the facts to the people. Before we get started, I want you to check out my Patreon. The link is at the top of the chat. Click it. Got over 500 exclusive live streams. You know it's off the chain. KingSeti.com, online marketplace, official General Seti products. You feel me? African and Kemetic jewelry. We got t-shirts and hoodies, DVDs. We got all that, family. So check it out. Also check out the memberships we got for General Seti, Sarah Suit Seti YouTube page. Get access to exclusive videos. It's powerful, believe it. And make sure you give this video a thumbs up, like it because you love it, share it with your family and friends, and comment. Just don't say nothing stupid because you will get banned. Now, we had to talk about this. We had to talk about this. We got to quit making shit up and we deal with reality, And I call on the Grandmaster Walter Williams. You see what I'm saying? Who gave us this information? You see and I continue to do research in this area to prove to see if it was correct or not. I'm not going, just follow somebody just because they say something. He say, do the research. Do the research. And so we are looking for an ancient writing system of the indigenous black race of North America. What's wrong with that? Why we can't, we want to know where it's at. You see, so we could do some research. You feel what I'm saying? This is what's, and people that, have a problem with that, it got some ulterior motive. You see what I'm saying? That, we don't know what the fuck that's about, but we going to do the research because this is what, how people gather and expand wisdom and knowledge by doing research. But, Walter Williams said that, the ancient Egyptians were the only people in the ancient world that had the alphabet. The only people in the ancient world that had an alphabet. And so you know what I say, how do you prove that? I'm a prolific researcher. So, the first thing I do is it's different questions that I ask. And the first question I ask, what is the oldest manuscripts of a people? You see, where's that's surviving manuscripts? What are the oldest surviving manuscripts of the people? And then I'm gonna ask the question, was it mass produced? Because that's very necessary. Because in order for people to have mass literacy, they're gonna have to be able to mass produce literature. You see, because ain't no one book gonna educate no masses. You see, so just having one book don't mean shit. Was the people was there mass education? You see, was it a state funded, regulated educational system? That's the only way you're gonna have, mass literacy. Okay. And you're gonna have to have, you're gonna have to have mass literacy. You're gonna have to have an alphabet. You're gonna have to have a dictionary. You see, you're gonna have to have subjects, textbooks and things of that nature in order, to teach the people the various subjects that you would find in a university system. Okay. And so I went to the AI. I looked it up, and you could do it too. And I asked particular questions that that's gonna get straight to the point. And I asked the AI, I say, is there any surviving manuscripts from the ancient Greeks? You know what the answer was? No, that there are no surviving manuscripts from the ancient Greeks. I looked up the Romans. I said, is there any surviving manuscripts from the Romans? You know what the answer was? No. They don't have any surviving manuscripts. You see, India. A lot of people think India is so ancient. And we asked the question, when are the oldest, writings of the Hindus? And that shit was right around 300 BC. 200, 300 BC. Egypt was already literate 3,000 years before India. Already literate. You see, you go to Egypt, they got writing over every fucking thing. Every temple got writing. Every little statue got writing. Every little piece of jewelry got writing. You see what I'm saying? Everything got writing on it. So then you got the papyrus on top of that. So so when it get down to it, Walter Williams hit that shit on the head. He understood that no other they fabricating. You understand, these manuscripts, they fabricating a history. You see that is, you understand, that just been created with the printing press, and we brought that up. Maybe let me bring that up. You see, let me see. Okay, let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I got the Egyptian temple. I know I got that. There you go. I was wondering where it's at. So you know why they didn't have no manuscripts? Because they didn't have no damn alphabet. So we not picking on no one. We just letting it be known that the only people in the ancient world that had an alphabet in the writing system was the ancient Egyptians, and that everybody else got their alphabet from the ancient Egyptians. It's just that simple. Okay, it's just that goddamn simple, and they had it, at the very earliest date of ancient Egypt. At the very earliest date, 3000 BC, already had writing. They find it in the first dynasty tombs already had some form of writing in the tomb. With a Narmer palette, it had particular glyphs that was on there showing names and things of that nature. So they already had writing, because even in the king's list, they had, even they had the names of the pre-dynastic kings. You see, they already had the names of the pre-dynastic kings. And so the Shango bone. Yeah, the Shango bone is a mathematical artifact. You see, the Shango bone is a mathematical artifact. It's the oldest mathematical. Said he, what's up with this Bantu Eve? I don't know. I had to do some research on it. This is, I heard something about it, but I ain't really did too much research. I've been doing other areas of research, and so I didn't really tap into it yet. You see, I really didn't tap into it. Let me get my hold on. Okay, I think here it is. Yeah, so even when you talking about the damn Even when you talk about the Hebrew shit, man, you talking about manuscripts. You talking about the Dead Sea Scroll. You talking about 250 BC, and them is fakes. But damn, Moses supposedly lived around 1200 BC. So you talking about over 1,000 years, and gap in between supposedly when Moses wrote them into, and that's a fake. That's a fake. That's a fake. And so they the Indian. I just went past it. In the oldest writings of the Indians, they wasn't even writing on paper. They was writing on goddamn wood. You see, the oldest surviving manuscripts from India date to around the 1st century BC. But see, a lot of people propagate that India could be older than Egypt, and that's a goddamn lie. Egypt got it got an alphabet. You can go into the pyramid text, and I went down in the pyramid and I seen it for myself. And man, they had, I mean, you talking about in, the third dynasty. You see, you talking about in the third dynasty that those pyramids was over there in the Saqqara pyramid field. You see, over there was Zosia pyramid. You had Teddy, you had Unis over there, and I think we went down in the Unis pyramid. You see the step, and you go down in there, and once you get in the burial chamber, man, he had so many glyphs over that tomb, man. I mean, it was, listen to me when I tell, it was over 1,000,000 glyphs in that tomb. You see what I'm saying? Over 1,000,000 glyphs in that tomb at that early date. So even at the time of the old kingdom, I mean, they were already high, they were advanced as advanced can be. There was no development stage with ancient Egypt, man. It was like it came into being full blown. That's how we know it came up out of Nubia, because there's no way nobody just gonna kaboom and shit, come, out of nothing with that advance of a society and shit, government and shit. You see, and so people don't understand that the oldest writing system where we talking about, and it wasn't alphabetical. The Olmecs had a hieroglyph. That's very interesting. They had a hieroglyph. And there's not a whole lot of people in the ancient world that had a major civilization that had a hieroglyph. Egypt and Nubia was one of them, and the other one was Olmeca and the Minoan civilization. We talking about the greater civilizations. You see, it had a hieroglyphic system. And so when you talking about an alphabetical system, the oldest alphabetical system. I watched Brother Clyde Winters. I've been watching Brother Clyde Winters. Yes, indeed. I watched Brother Clyde Winters. Been watching him for a while now. I used to watch him and didn't even know who he was. I was watching Clyde Winters back shit 2007, 2008. I didn't know that was him at the time. But I was watching some of his material back then, you know. Yeah, I told them they were Semitic. Okay. But uh to get back to my mind, so when we look up the oldest of North America, just Let's see where we at. Now they're gonna put the Olmec first, but that ain't what I'm trying. I'm trying to get to the North American. Okay, here you go. The Cherokee syllabary. You see what I'm saying? That which was created in 1821. An independent writing system invented by the Cherokee. That's the oldest written language of North America. Now they did have some petroglyphs and pictographs, things of that nature, but painted symbols. But it wasn't a language. It could have been, but it was vague. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't like you find it everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? You have to find it in one area, and it could have been more of a visual tale than it was, of alphabetical or things of that nature. It could have been a visual tale. But so when you talking about a writing alphabet, the earliest writing system of North America was invented in 1821, the Cherokee syllabary. Now, I'm going to ask, what the oldest manuscript? We're going to get right to it. The oldest manuscript. Because when you talk about manuscript, you're talking about paper. You're talking about paper. Talking about books. Hmm. Let me put that in there. I spelled that all wrong. They looking at me. Sometimes, okay. It ain't that old. I can tell you that. They try to say the Mayan got some of the oldest manuscripts. So you got some Mayan codices, 11th to 12th century. Oldest surviving book in North America. So we talking about the modern era. So you got them, but the Mayan code, the Mayan system come out of the Olmec. The Mayan and the Aztec system come out of the Olmec. So we talking about in North America. So well, I guess Mexico is North America. So we talking about the area that today, which we call the United States. The oldest, and so the Cherokee in 1821 is the oldest. Okay, and so but beyond that, the codexes, because those are considered manuscripts. You see what I'm saying? 11th, 12th century or the Common Era. So that just show you right there, the Mayan can't fuck with the Egyptians neither. So it's clear because the Egyptians is, man, listen, you talking about, man, the Egyptians is like, man, shit, they like 5,000 and 6,000 years older in writing. That shit ain't even close. You see what I'm saying? When you get down and do the real motherfucking research, it's not even close. So we asking because when you go where the Kushites is at, nigga, I don't care where you at on the planet, nigga. You see what I'm saying? It's gonna be a certain level of civilization, nigga, that come with that. You see? You know, it's a certain level of civilization that come with that. A lot of shit done been hid, a lot of shit. But the thing is that, you know, the Nile Valley was the origin of this shit, man. That's why they so advanced. There's no way of getting around that. There's no motherfucker getting away around that. That the Greeks, the Romans, that the Indians, you know, the Hindu Indians, uh, the Olmecs had a writing, the oldest artifact of the Olmec with writing on it is around 900 BC. So even there, the Africans is still like 4,000, 5,000 years older than the Olmecs. Straight up. And the Olmecs, you know, they left some things, but they were skimpy with their artifacts. They didn't leave that many. You know what I'm saying? They didn't leave that many, but they were advanced, but they did not leave that many. You see, and it is no indication that they left manuscripts. You know, they had most of what they left was carved into stone. So, you know, they did not leave books. They did not leave books. So the first books was, you know, that we could find is of the Mayan, but that is the Olmec script that they developed the Olmec script. So if our people was over here, what was they doing? What was they doing? And it's not a knock. They was obviously they was advanced, but they had to be somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? They came here, you understand, as, you know, they're just like pioneers. You see, they came, you know, and people look at that can't accept they came here as pioneers, just like other people come as pioneers. They come in small groups. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, when people go on voyages and shit, you know, and we exploring new lands. These is, you know, pioneers going out exploring and shit, and then they find new lands. They come as a small group, and then they get larger and larger and larger as the population understand, man, it's new land across there. You see, you know. Oh, it was the Shango there, the Shango bone. That's right. We just talked about that. The Shango bone is the oldest mathematical artifact in the world. That's right. That's right. You see, and so, you know, you know, most definitely, and we're gonna talk about it before we get up off of here about the mounds and shit. You know, that's an extension. It's mounds all, and they don't want to talk about it's mounds all over the motherfucking world. You see what I'm saying? That was you know, you could tell that was a common Kushite trait. They got goddamn mounds in China, Korea, all through Asia, into Sudan, all through Europe. They got mounds and shit. Even the Etruscans had mounds. You see? Yeah. And start and start, you know, had mounds all over the goddamn planet. So that's even in the ancient Egyptian spirituality, they had the primeval mound. And so this is an attribute of a global, and see, but niggas is so isolated, they don't know how to interpret nothing but isolation. Say there's mounds on the side. That's right, there's mounds every damn where. There's mounds every damn where. There's mounds every damn where. Real talk. They had so many mounds in North America, they had them all over this motherfucker. And a lot of them is still here. You probably think it's a hill. You know what I'm saying? That's what they did. They just let shit grow up. You probably think it's a hill and it's a damn mound. But anyway, family. So the question is, where's the ancient writing system of the indigenous? The oldest writing system of North America is the Olmec. The oldest of the North and South America is the Olmec. That's the old in writing, but manuscript, when they got into books and shit, was the Mayan around the 11th century AD, not BC, AD. And so, but that's the Olmec. And but when you talking about in the land area of what we call the United States, the Cherokee is called a syllabary. And I believe, but he a Cherokee not an architect, but he was he was into mathematics. He created that writing system for the Cherokee. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's all they did. The old man into the Mayan. That's understandable. That's understandable. That's understandable. But anyway, family, we gonna do this last video and get up out of here. We're gonna talk about the mounds and show that the mounds of North America is an extension. The Mayan culture is young. The Mayan culture come almost 1,000 years after the Olmec. You see, it came, it phased in about 1,000 years after, yeah, at least 1,000 years. It's 1,000 years after the Olmec. But anyway, we'll get right black with y'all, family. Let's do this mom, get to some information, and we'll be right black. Get over to Patreon, support the generalkingseti.com, and check out them 24-hour 24-hour live streams, General Seti, Sarah Soon Seti YouTube page. Boom, Black Power.